Good afternoon, Fantasy Bay. Mike Williams here with another Week 10 game preview. And today we're going to be going over the Atlanta Falcons versus the New Orleans Saints. Let's get it started. So this game has an over-under of 51.5, which is very high, which means Vegas thinks there's going to be a lot of points scored, and I agree with Vegas. And the over-under is negative 13.5. That is kind of surprising, though. I think that Atlanta can definitely keep up at least more than 2 touchdowns. That's kind of bad. Matt Ryan should be back. I actually think that Matt Ryan should come back and have a pretty good game. The Saints are middle of the pack against the quarterback, allowing 19.3 fantasy points a game. That's 15th in the league. I'd start Matt Ryan. I think he's a top 10 play fringe towards 9 to 13, but I like him. Let's go down to Julio Jones. I have him obviously as a top 10 play this week. You're going to play Julio Jones. The Saints are very good against the run, and they're okay against the wide receiver. They're ninth, allowing 25 fantasy points a game to the wide receiver. So I think you're firing up Julio Jones, and I'm also firing up Calvin Ridley. I have him as a wide receiver 2 this week. I think he has a lot of upside. I'm really liking him. His targets have been 6, 6, 7, 7. Receptions, 4s across the board looking like. And he's averaging somewhere above 11 fantasy points a game, almost 12, with Mo Sanu moving on and going to the Patriots. I think that opens him up to allow him to get on the field more often. He's utilized only 12% right now before Mohamed Sanu when he was playing. That's one of the worst. 52nd ranked. Terrible. But I think that should go up. Now that Mohamed Sanu's gone, there's no reason for you not to have your talented wide receiver on the field opposite Julio Jones, and I think that should help the offense. Devonta Freeman. Man, I was really hoping he came out gangbusters and played fantastic, but he's been a little up and down. He played really well for a stretch there. I think he had 3 games in a row of over 20 fantasy points, and then he had a downer against the Rams, but he came back up against the Seahawks, 16. That's not too bad. He did get ejected from that Rams game. I think he hit Aaron Donald, which, first off, he's huge. Why would you do that? Second, you're not hurting him if you hit him with your hand on his helmet. Boy, he wearing pads. People be trying to hit him all the time. All right. But the Saints, man, they are fantastic against the run, which is why we have Devonta Freeman so low as a running back 2 or a flex play. The Saints are the second against the running back, only allowing 10.9 fantasy points a game. Man, that's awful. Absolutely awful. So I'm not looking to start Devonta Freeman if I don't have to, but I know that it's Bipocalypse, so got to do what you got to do, but I wouldn't expect a great game from him, to be honest with you. I believe Ito Smith isn't going to play either, so he should get a majority of the role as he deserves, but not really trying to play him if I don't have to. Excuse me. So Austin Hooper is good at football, apparently. He has been playing absolutely amazing, averaging 11.4 fantasy points a game. That's first in the league. The Saints are great against tight end. Don't care. I still fire him up. I think he's a good start. I'm not playing the Atlanta defense because you're going against the Saints, and I still think Drew Brees has it, man. 30 fantasy points this last game when he came back. That's absolutely fantastic. 373 yards, 3 touchdowns, only 1 interception. Drew Brees is a beast. The Falcons allow the 3rd most fantasy points to the quarterback at 24 points a game. That's amazing. Start up Drew Brees, of course. And if you're going to start Drew Brees, you might as well start Michael Thomas because he's also a monster. And again, the Falcons can't control the wide receiver position, so I believe he's going to go off. They're ranked 3rd against the wide receiver, allowing 28 points a game. That's amazing. Michael Thomas doesn't even come off the field 93% of the time. That's fantastic. 8th in the league. He's tied with number 1 on utilization. So that means he's utilized 18% of the time. That means they're throwing it to him, rush attempts, anything going his way. 18% of the time. That's the number 1. That's tied for number 1 in the league. That's fantastic. Gotta love that. Have him obviously as a top 5 play this week. Ted Ginn Jr., he's an okay flyer if you're desperate. I think that Atlanta is pretty terrible, so I think that if you need a flyer, I think he'll be pretty solid. Down to the running back position, Alvin Kamara has been out for a couple weeks, and Latavius Murray has come through in the clutch. 31 points, 36 fantasy points, averaging over 100 yards a game, and a touchdown or two. He's been fantastic, but Alvin Kamara came back, and I think that he is going to be the one to take over this position. The Falcons are in the middle of the pack against the running back, allowing almost 20 points a game. I think that they both should be able to play well. I actually think that they're both startable. I have Alvin Kamara as a top 5, top 7 play, and I have Latavius Murray as a running back 2 because I still think he gets enough touches, and I think that they're going to be trying to run on this Falcons defense. And I definitely think you can start the Saints. I know that the Falcons have a very powerful offense, or they should because they have the talent to have a powerful offense, but they're not being able to put it together this year, and I think you can start the Saints against them in a pretty good matchup. All right, I think that's going to do it, Fantasy Bay. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Check out my social media down below. I have videos on every game, so don't forget to hit those up. If you have any questions, just let me know. Fantasy Bay, Mike Williams, I'm out.